This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Bavarian farm. But before that, this video is brought to you by Metallic Fox and Backbone. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Bavarian farm map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to the Bavarian farm map. This map has no real origin and is freely invented. However, the Regensburg and Passau region served as a model. Overall, this map took 7 months to construct from May 2023 to the end of November 2023. Almost all houses and farms are self-built. There is a village and a harbor. In the village, you will find an agricultural machinery dealer, a bakery, cheese, dairy, milk sales and dairy, cattle dealer, as well as a carpentry, supermarket, petrol station, and fire station. At the harbor, you're going to find a grain mill, farm shop, and market garden. There are 4 different farms on this map, and overall, there is also 28 small to large fields. I have to say that this map is chocked full of features. While it may be a small map in size, it is definitely not a small map with respect to the amount of things that have been packed in. Now, this map does have one required mod, that is the lower Bavarian farm pack. You see that we have that selected here. And in addition to that, we are going to be using the mods we typically use to take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Now, we'll tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find that the main farm and all the other farms are built out exactly how you're going to see them here in new farmer mode. The only difference is you do not own any machinery, nor do you own the land in those alternate game modes. When we load in for the very first time, we do load here at the main starting farm, kind of in the back of the farmhouse. I'm going to go ahead and walk around to the front, because that is how I am most familiar with the layout of this particular farmhouse. And from here, let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. As I said, this is a small sized map. So if we take a look here and continue to zoom on out, I would say that this is probably about maybe 2/3 the size of a standard map, maybe a little bit closer to somewhere between 2/3 and maybe 3/5 the size of a standard map. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22 available on this particular map. And if we take a look at our lands area, you'll see we start up owning Farmland ID 1, which is the main starting farm, for $120,300. Then we also have Farmland ID 2, 3, and 4. Those are corresponding to fields 18, 17, and 16, respectively. In addition to the main starting farm, there are 3 other viable farms on this map. We have Farmland ID 34, which is going to be a cow farm. It can be bought for $48,680. In addition to that, we have Farmland ID 31, which is a sheep and horse farm. It can be bought for $137,000. And then Farmland ID 19, which is going to be a cow and chicken farm. That can be bought for $77,000. In addition to that, we do have a biogas plant that can be bought here, which is going to be part of Farmland ID 36, which also includes the big field 27, and that could be bought for $484,000. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the viable farmlands that are available on this particular map, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us? We're going to be able to then cross-reference that with the field calculator screen. This is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. So for example, field 16 is going to be 1.12 hectares, field 17, 1.38, and field 18 is 0.55. Those are the 3 fields we own at the start. As we take a look down through the rest of these fields, you'll see that most of them are somewhere between 1/2 to 1.5 hectares of size, with the clear outlier being field 27 at 6.82. Taking a look at the precision farming soil map, we do have the standard soil map that is applied with the precision farming mod available on this map. We have mostly sandy loam and loam in our 3 starting fields right here, 18, 17, and 16. To the north, we have a mix of loam and silty clay as well. And then down to the south, we have sandy loam, loamy sand, and loam in our largest field, field 27. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have the standard base game crop counter available to us here on this particular map. And looking at our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of the base game crops that are available to us in FS22. In addition, we do have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. As we continue down through our base game production items, we once again do indeed have the ability to sell all of the base game production items that are again available to us in Farm Sim 22. Something that we also have the ability to do is we can buy bulk lime, but we do not have the ability to process our stones. So if you are playing with stones enabled, we will need to put a sell point down for processing our stones. And with respect to the platinum expansion, we do not have the ability to process any of the platinum expansion production items. So if you do wish to use platinum expansion production, you would need to put down your own sell point there. Premium expansion, though, we do have the ability to deal with the premium expansion productions as well as crops. If you are playing with pumps and hoses, do note that you will need to do something with your separated manure because you will not be able to sell it, again, without putting a sell point down. With respect to our starting fleet, we do have a decent list of starting machinery. It is all owned, none of it is leased, and it all has 0 operating hours. With respect to our animals, at the main starting farm, we have pigs, chickens, and cows once again. We do have contracts available on this map. And as far as starting production, at the main starting farm, we have a custom dairy that's going to take milk and produce butter and cheese. We have fertilizer production that's going to take manure, water, and lime and make solid fertilizer and digestate. Our pig food mixer is going to take chaff, potatoes, and sugar beet and make pig food out of that. We have then the BGA, which we do own at the start, and a medium greenhouse. Now, this is just a start because, again, we have 14 different productions available on this map. We will be going over all of those productions here in a little bit. Lastly, this map does not have any custom collectibles. Let's take a look at our starting fleet. Start out with a pair of medium tractors with the John Deere 4755 and 7810. We then move up to our Dutzfar 4090H harvester. That is paired up with the 4090H grain header. We have our 1986 pickup truck and the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We have the Nordstein HK25 NS3030 seeder and power harrow combination. We have the Amazon Cinto 4000 super cultivator. We have the Hardy Mega 1200L fertilize sprayer, as well as the Amazon ZATS 3200 fertilize spreader. We have the Brandner TA 12050 power spread plus manure spreader, as well as the Super Assist 800 slurry spreader. We have the GMD 3123F front mower and the Zelon CFS 2501DO forage wagon. We have the Scytho King TMR mixer, as well as the Lizard MKS liquid tanker for transport of milk, water, herbicide, and liquid fertilizer. We include the MES 400 silage compaction leveler, as well as the Quickie Q3M front loader arms. And for the front loader arms, we have a pallet fork, universal bucket, manure fork, and a bale spike. Then lastly, we round it all out with a 900 kilogram front weight. This map does not have any custom vehicles or implements either. Now, before we get on with the main farm tour, I do want to come back up here and go ahead and purchase these alternate farms. That way, when we get around to our flyover, we will see those triggers populating in. And with that done, we have an entry-level farmhouse. Always like farmhouses that we can go into. We have our kitchen on the left and our bedroom here on the right. So we do have our sleep trigger located right here. And then around the side, we have our wardrobe trigger right next to a little bit of a back bathroom. Coming out the back of the farmhouse, we have the triggers for our dairy. So we have our dump point and our pallet spawn point. Inside here, we go to the glowing milk jugs, and that's where we're going to have our interactive icon. Would like to see the floating icon here as opposed to simply the glowing light. We have a herbicide storage tank. And I want to go upstairs because I want to show you something up here. So we have these two silos. You see we've got a pipe coming over here and going outside. I'm going to show you what that goes to here in a little bit. But we also have a little pop-up in the lower right corner showing us that we have bale and pallet storage. And that is because down here we have triggers for bale and pallet storage. Dump point and fill point for that. And I believe we're going to find our pallets are going to be stored down here and our bales are going to be stored up there. So this is going to be a silo output pipe for the input pipe that is located right here, right by our slurry trigger. And this is going to be storing kind of food for our cows, because over here we have our silo storage point with our output pipe and our input right there. We have 3 large 3-sided silage bunkers located here at this farm. Now, of the things that I tried to sell at this farm, I was not able to sell these silage bunkers. I like that we have our lights so we can turn it on if we are compacting silage at night. We have a power washer. To our right, we have our cow barn. So we have our cow trigger here for 80 cows. We have our milk trigger. And inside we have our food trough. Behind us, we then have our chicken coop, 360 chickens. We have our food trough. Then inside the door here is where we're going to find our eggs. Behind the chicken coop, we have our greenhouse. Standard FS22 greenhouse. Nothing exciting there. And we have our pig barn. 150 total pigs in this facility. So we have our food trough inside of here. We have a couple interactive triggers so we can lower the curtains. And this one I really like is we have some triggers to open the food door. So you see that open up and close. And then we have an output pipe. This is for our pig food mixer. So this is where we're going to get the pig food out that we produce. This pig barn happens to have 2 delivery points. So you see we have the same pig in there. So we do not have 2 separate pig areas, just 2 different icons. And this is going to be our pig food mixer. So we have our interactive icon and our dump point for our inputs. Continuing around, we then have a fertilizer production. So we have our output pipe here. We have our input and our interactive icon. And again, this is going to take lime, manure, and water. We have our workshop trigger. And right there is the farmhouse. Just to give you a little bit of point of reference. Now what I do want to do is I want to find a trailer. Because I want to check. Oh, this is neat. We have our front loader tools in this little storage area. That's kind of cool. I want to check what is able to be stored within the silo that's inside the pig area. Not the pig area, but the cow area. All right, there's that. bear with me for a brief moment. So we have fuel storage also available right there. Now, with respect to can this farm and the other farms be customizable? I was able to sell a lot of the buildings here on this farm, although I somewhat would advise against doing so because you will have some very interesting things occur as a result of that. But if you wanted to, you could indeed sell most of the things on this farm. As I mentioned, one of the things you cannot sell are the 3 silage bunkers. You also cannot sell the black fences that are going around here. So this side is going to hold grass, straw, pig food, hay, and silage, TMR, chaff. So all of your forages and animal foods. Now below this custom barn and silo complex, we have our manure heap. Love these custom signs. And then we also have then the farm dairy. We have the retail outlet of the farm dairy down here with a cell trigger. So with respect to production being built in, as I said, we have 14 different productions built into this map. We have a bakery, a fermenter, 3 dairies, a carpentry, cereal factory, fertilizer factory, hay dryer, sawmill, spinnery, pig food production, BGA, and a greenhouse. So we're definitely going to be giving the map a full point there. With respect to the ability to sell all the great base game crops, production items, and animal outputs, we're also going to be giving the map a full point there as well. We do not have the ability to sell stones, but we really do not deduct points for that because you could turn stones off. In fact, I often do turn stones off because I do believe that they just spawn a bit too frequently. With respect to this farm being customizable, as I said, we can sell most of these buildings. The one things that I was not able to sell were the black fencing that kind of perimeters the farm and these 3 silage bunkers. But that trend does not continue with the other 3 farms that are pre-placed on this map. In fact, I did try to sell the buildings on 2 of those 3, and the only thing I was able to sell on those were going to be the triggers. So the buildings did remain. Over here to the east, we have our sawmill. So we have our wood dump point here and our wood cell trigger. On the back, we have our wood chip output. We have our pallet spawn point and our interactive icon here on the other side of the building. You do see some utility lines running through these fields. Those do have collisions. Just a big warning, they do have collisions. Now, overall, the fields are fairly flat and fairly smooth, but I did run across this feature right here, which is this massive hump on field 25. And I gotta feel that this needs to be smoothed and leveled out a bit because it is rather pronounced. And I think you're gonna have a hard time working this particular field. So one thing to consider is possibly, if you think you're going to be working this field, possibly waiting for an update, because terrain changes will require a new game save for your game to pick up those changes. So when and if the map author does kind of smooth that area out a little bit, it will require a new game save to pick that up. And if you're someone that really doesn't like just starting all over again, then it may be advisable just to hold off a little bit and see if we get a quick update that does correct that little aspect. Here we have farmland ID 19. This is the cow and chicken farm. We're going to come through here during the quick and brief drive around portion of the map and check out all of these triggers. as we make our way into town. We have our fuel point, a little fuel station here just in front of the castle. We also then have to our right a dairy and to our left a bakery. And I think now might be the best time to just kind of do a rundown of all of the productions that are available on this map. We've already talked about the starting farm, dairy, fertilizer, pig food, biogas, and greenhouse production. We've gone ahead and bought all of the other productions that are available. So we have a grass to silage fermenter at one of the other starting farms. So it's going to take grass, hay, chaff, and straw, convert that into silage. We have a hay dryer where we're going to take grass and convert that to hay. We also then have our dairy, milk and sugar. So milk is going to produce butter and cheese. The milk and sugar is going to make our chocolate. We have another dairy. It's going to take milk and produce butter and cheese. Carpentry, pretty standard wood and planks for furniture and wood chips. Seal factory, fairly standard recipe there, as well as our bakery with bread and cakes. Our sawmill is going to take wood and make them into planks. Then we have our spinnery, which is wool and cotton into fabric. So our bakery, we have our interactive icon here on the side, our dump point, and pallet spawn point there as well. Our dairy, we have our interactive icon on the front, our pallet point and dump point around the back. We do have scattered around town fire hydrants. They're going to be for the collection of water, no doubt. We have our firehouse. We have our vehicle dealer. Let's go ahead and pick up that Mahindra. Got a decent area for our vehicles to spawn in. Given the size of all of these fields, you're going to be working with small machinery on this map. We don't really need a huge area for things to spawn in at. On the side, we have our dealer trigger. Right here. Then over here, we have our fire hydrant, and then this is going to be a sell point. Let's just check out and see what this one's named. This is the milk sell point. Right down the street, we have our dairy with the rotating sign. I gotta think maybe that sign's not supposed to be rotating, or at least maybe it's not supposed to be rotating that way. It's just kind of fun to watch. Any rate, we have our interactive icon. We have our dump point. I've got to think inside here, we're going to have our pallet spawn point. We don't see that area marked off with markers. It would be nice to see that added. Also, in an update, and then this is going to be one of the other player farms. Again, we're going to be talking about this here in a little bit. Over here we have our animal dealer with a sell point. And I believe buy points for lime, seed, and fertilizer. We have our carpentry, our interactive icon, wood cell trigger, pallet spawn point. Here we have the horse and sheep farm, the fourth player farm option. We have our flour mill, so our dump point, interactive icon, and pallet spawn point there. And then to the south, across the river, we have our BGA. We do own the BGA at the start, And I did try to sell the biogas plant, and I found myself completely unsuccessful. So the BGA is permanently a part of the map. We have three-sided bunkers, as well as the BGA triggers there. We have a Harbour sell point located right there. We have a mill sell point. And then we have our spinnery production located right here with our interactive icon here along the side of the building, our pallet spawn point and dump point around the front. Then this is going to be our garden center sell point, and that's pretty much the various sell points that are scattered around. So this is another shot of our main starting farm. Then how close it is really to the vehicle dealer. Almost across the street from the vehicle dealer, we have the second farm that we're going to go and take a look at. Again, really great custom signage here. Now, this is one of the buildings, or one of the farms that I did try to sell the buildings at, and was really only successful in selling the triggers. Here we have a liquid fertilizer storage. Side here we have our cow trigger, 50 cows in total. This is going to be our fermenter dump point. Then this is going to be our fermenter output. So we have a trigger located right here, and we are going to left click, and that is going to then output our pipe that we're then going to be able to get our silage out of. We've got our food trough in here. I like how we have this staggered lights turn on and off. Side here we have bale and pallet storage, 250 bales or pallets. We have diesel. Then we have storage for vehicles and implements and such. And that is pretty much this farm. Let's make our way over to our sheep and horse farm. Just a quick trip down the road. Right past the flour mill. And then inside of here, we have our horse area. So 16 total horses. With our water trough and food trough. Here we have the output pipe. And this output pipe is for our hay dryer. And our input for our hay dryer is here along the side. Then we have our interactive icon for that hay dryer. Really lovely detailed buildings. Now, what's interesting about this is not a normal farm silo. So this is an output. This is specifically for Well, it's for potatoes and sugar beets. So we have our dump point right here, and then we have our output pipe or conveyor belt right there. Now on the other side of the courtyard, we then have our sheep triggers. So 150 total sheep are available here. We have our wool point. We have our food trough. And we have our water trough for our sheep. And that is pretty much this farm as well. Now, as we make our way over to the third and final additional farm, let's do some more rundown of our scoring. With respect to abilities where appropriate are using the new texturing technique, we're going to be giving the map a full point. All the abilities on this map overall are using the new texturing technique. I did take a close look at the castle. I don't really feel the castle is using that, but I also don't feel that we really are interacting that close with the castle that really it's going to really overall affect the map. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the map a full point. Then lastly, player and interactive areas being clearly marked. I'm going to give the map 3/4 of a point there. There's a whole lot going on here. And overall, lots of the stuff on this map is very clear and well labeled. I would like to have seen the little floaty icon over at the dairy at the main starting farm, but it does get a little confusing with respect to some of these other things that are going on. So we'll just say 3/4 of a point there. Here we have more bale and pallet storage, 250 bales for pallets. We have diesel storage here. This is going to be for chickens. So we have our eggs. You're going to find scattered around these light switches turn on various exterior lights. So we have eggs. We have our chicken food. Then on the other side, we have our chicken buy point. 360 chickens here once again. We have sleep and wardrobe triggers outside the farmhouse this time. We have our dump point for our silo. Here we have our fill pipe. Going around the side, we have our cow buy point. 80 cows available in here. And this is a farmland ID 19 again. So we have our slurry point. And we have our manure heap. We have our food trough for our cows. And then this is going to be our milk trigger for our cows. Lots of really cool custom buildings going on here. Oh, a Dorta. A Dorta, well, seemingly nowhere, but somewhere. Nonetheless, a little apartment. Now, one thing that we haven't looked at is we really haven't looked at build mode. We've got our workshop trigger in there. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at build mode because we do have custom sheds and other things that are a part of this map. So we do have the lower Bavarian farm as a required mod, but also we have then the Bavarian farm mod itself. It includes lots of these custom buildings that we can put down. We have some custom silos that we can put down. Various containers, including a water tank, liquid fertilizer tank, and herbicide tank, as well as our fire hydrant. Then we do have a lower Bavarian farmhouse, as well as the Bavarian farmhouse. I believe this is the one we can go into that we could also place. We do have some custom production that is a part of the map. Right here we have the fertilizer production we could put down. We have our greenhouse. And then we have placeable animal areas here for the various animals as well. And landscaping, we've got a modest list of ground textures. And then we have our standard plants. Let's round it out by taking a look at our animal food. Fairly standard animal food requirements across all of the various areas. So that's going to wrap it up. That's going to give this map a score of 4 out of 5. Very respectable score. This map may be, again, small on size, but it is very, very big on features. We've seen plenty of larger maps that have less going on than this small map, and I can really see how and why it would have taken 7 months to put all this together. It really does kind of make me sad sometimes to think that map makers take more time to produce the map than most players are going to spend playing on the map. Kind of sad. That's why when I do start to do my own gameplays, I want to invest some time into that and really make the map author's efforts worthwhile by spending as much time as I can on that map and really enjoying as much of the map as possible. Wow. Watch out. Watch out for deadly traffic. It is something you may want to turn off on this map. And with that, happy farming.